The Soccer Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by EdgeBoost, the bank account built for bettors. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet with the promo code SGPN and get a $25 deposit bonus. The Europa League Final is here. This is your preview as we look ahead to what will be the biggest football match in history when it comes to financial stakes. Every single year we talk about the Championship playoff game. That is seen as the richest game in world football because it's the difference between playing in the Premier League and not playing in the Premier League and having that Premier League revenue. Well, for these two, it's not only a case of being in the Champions League or not being in the Champions League, it's a case of being in Europe or not being in Europe whatsoever.
When you play at Manchester United, you become part of its DNA. This is a club born from resilience, rebuilt from tragedy, and written into football folklore. Trophies define the past, but at United, the next chapter always matters more. To wear the shirt is to embrace the legacy and all the responsibility that comes with it. But it's the belief in the stands and the passion on every match day. That's what makes Manchester United so special.
When you come from abroad, you understand that this is Manchester United. No matter what the context, you feel that, the history. And that's why this club will always be a top club because of that, the past. And also everything around, the fans, the way they behave, you can understand that.
99.
That I watched, I remember exactly where I was. It was really tough for Manchester United. Fergie time, it changed everything.
How do you approach the final? Obviously, it's a team that you know really well from the league. I mean, we played Chelsea in 2008, and I think it almost helped because we knew every player. You know, we knew everybody's role. So in the end, it was more about just winning individual battles or winning your duels. And if you did that, you can win the game. There were no surprises like that.
Yeah, we need to look at our two games. One of the things that is good facing Tottenham, they are really good, but you can understand what they are going to do. Because they have a so strong identity, they will not change.
Yeah.
That is a good thing. Set pieces are going to be a key point because they are really strong on that because they win a lot of corners. We have an idea how they are going to press. They have an idea how we are going to build up. So I think it's going to be a tough match for both teams.
Do you think you do anything different tactically to maybe spring a surprise?
No,
you know,
I always look at the opponent to see where is the space, but we have an identity. In that way, for me, it's easier for our players to understand. But of course, if they defend with 4 or with 5, we change completely the way we play with the wing backs, for example. So I think I'm changing all the time.
Well, I just want to wish you all the best. Good luck. Good luck for the final.
I hope the next coach in a lot of years is watching this final.
They will.
I hope so.
Let's hope so. What a gentleman.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. You're Man United's most consistent player. How do you think you've been able to kind of manage the expectation and being the captain, but still perform and be so consistent when other players haven't been able to?
Every season I put new targets on myself. I put new things that I want to improve, to get better, to do better. It's a pleasure to be at this club. You know, like I've followed the club a long time, I've seen all the players playing here. For me, it's a pleasure being here talking with you. I've watched a lot of your free kicks and the time you've played for the club. This is a dream come true. So I just have to try to find small margins, small things that I can improve my game to get that consistent, even going to the next level. You just have to understand that the minimal thing you do great here, it's going to become massive, because this is what this club demands. And when you get this small thing right, it drives you off.
You have a lot of experience in some of these bigger games. How do you kind of help some of the younger guys? You get Garnachos and your Amas, and how do you help them bring out their best in a game which means so much to everyone?
In the young kids now, you see a lot of personalities. What I have to do is try to not take that away from them, because that's something that they can give us through the game, and we need that inexperience from them to try forward and try things and try to score goal and beat people. I want them to enjoy the most as possible, because this is an experience that I think at this club you should have it often, and hopefully we're going to have it often in the future, so for them to get used to this kind of games.
We got a message from one of my colleagues, a guy you know well.
Yes, Bruno, it's Rio, man. Listen, I hope you do well out there, guys. Please, I need you to win this game, man. I know you're desperate to do that as well. The fans need it. We all need it. I'm going to see you out there in Bilbao. Bring it home, Mr. Captain, from one captain to another. Do your thing, man. Take care.
For us, it's very special to see the support from you guys, because you've been there, you've been in these situations, and I think even for the fans, that little push for them to believe and to believe in the team, that we can do something, that we can win this Europa League for our club. It's very good.
That's what this club's about, creating memories, isn't it? So I just want to wish you the best.
Thank you very much.
Good luck for the final, and
thank you very much.
Bring it back.
Look at Owen Hargreaves sitting there like he's some sort of Manchester United legend when he spent most of his time injured. He was the Luke Shaw of his time, that's for sure. Definitely not a legend in my eyes, but he's there talking on behalf of United, meeting the United players, ex-Man United player. And we need to bring it home. We need to bring it home, because otherwise we're not in Europe at all next season, and that will limit what we can do. It will limit the players this manager will be able to bring in to play his formation and whatnot. Whether I agree with his formation or not, whether I want him to stay or not, these are irrelevant points at the moment, and things that we can discuss on our recap show, which will look ahead to the weekend game, but mainly recap this game, and will be the last episode of the season. So that'll be episode 201. But this is a massive episode. Episode 200 of Bet MUFC here on the Soccer Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, breaking down the Europa League Final between Manchester United and Tottenham. You can follow the Soccer Gambling Podcast on X at SGP Soccer. That's at SGP Soccer. You can follow the Sports Gambling Podcast Network on X at the SGP Network. That's at the SGP Network, and also at Gambling Podcast. That's at Gambling Podcast. Be sure to download the SGPN app. That's the way to make sure you never miss any of our free picks or any of our free podcasts in one convenient app. Also, let me remind you, the merch store is running a promo with 20% off everything using the promo code DGENS. That includes Soccer Gambling Podcast merch. So you can support the winningest podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network by getting yourself some SGP Soccer merch. You can also support me by leaving me a 5-star review. You can support me by seeking out my additional picks and my additional free content by searching Lock Betting wherever you get your podcast for the Lock Betting Podcast, and by subscribing to my YouTube channel, where I will be posting content once again in the next couple of days. We look ahead to the Champions League Final, as we look ahead to the end of the Serie A season, and we look ahead to the Club World Cup. Want to be back on the YouTube. Also want to be talking tennis. It's the only place where I can talk tennis publicly other than behind my paywall for my Lock Betting customers. My paywall service, which you can sign up for at lockbetting.com, has been unbelievable. We have 143 months in a row of transparent and tracked profit. I think that probably makes it the number one service in the world. It's tracked and transparent with spreadsheets for every single month. Where you sign up for lock betting is where you also see the spreadsheets. And I've made it even easier for you by using Instagram to post my spreadsheets as well. So follow the Instagram. It's a hub for everything that we do. Go to @lockbetting on Instagram and you will find the latest spreadsheets there. The latest 3 are pinned to the top. And it's even easier than going to lockbetting.com because you don't have to open a Google document. They're all posted there via screenshots. It's idiot proof. You can see the type of bets we do, the sports we bet on, and most importantly, how we manage our bankroll. We're tracked and transparent. We manage a bankroll sensibly, and all of the things that you're seeing are verified by existing members who have been benefiting from this. You'll also see the monthly recap posted along with the spreadsheets where we look at the things that we did well and look ahead to the following month. Also on the Instagram, you will find betting videos giving you free betting information. You will also find free plays, and it's also a place to contact me if you have any questions. If you're not on Instagram, you can of course reach out to me on my X account, which is @SGP Soccer. That's @SGP Soccer.
Okay, Rio, there's a big game coming up, the Europa League Final. How big is this trophy for United and their manager, Ruben Amorim? And if they win it, does it just gloss over the cracks, or is it exciting times ahead?
I have to be honest, I can't call a Man United result. They're so inconsistent, or they consistently have been bad in the Premier League. But the fact they're playing against Spurs, another consistently bad team in the Premier League, but they have players who can win a match, makes this such a hard game to call. I think Man United haven't done enough this season for me to go convincingly, right, they will win this game. At any point, I've not felt like that, other than maybe against Leicester. So to call this game will be difficult. I think it's a huge opportunity for both clubs. But for Manchester United, I think that the manager's been very open in putting all his eggs in one basket. It's a dangerous game, a risky game to play. But I said on my podcast yesterday about this, is you have to understand what he's trying to do here. He's trying to implement a new playing style with new players. He knows that a lot of the players aren't good enough to implement his style or don't have the physical profile to play his style of football. He hasn't been able to recruit anyone other than Dorgu yet, so it's not his team. And then people are expecting him to live by the standards of yesteryear or of my generation. It's impossible. So he's gone, I'm going to win the Europa League. That's our easiest route or only real route into the Champions League again, and gives us a chance to press the reset button in the summer. High risk, but I totally understand why he's gone there. And a lot of people don't understand that, and I'm quite baffled as to why not. We can't be expecting him to live by the standards of the generations that have gone before, have been hugely successful. This is a squad that have many battle scars, deep scars of negativity, pure lack of confidence within the squad. So to expect them to battle on both fronts at the same level on the high intensity all the time, given the injuries as well in the squad, I think will be a high ask, and too high for this squad right now to expect of them. So he needs to win it, I think, to give him that bit of grace as well. So the pressure's on.
Lastly, Rio, just to finish off, you mentioned it before, Tottenham and their manager, Ange Postecoglou. What's been your opinion of the Aussie manager in his 2 years in the Premier League, from what you've seen?
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to go down a training ground and spend a bit of time with him and watch him work, and I really enjoyed his company. I thought he was really refreshing. I've done a show with him as well. I thought it was really, really refreshing to hear somebody be so open and like, this is me, I'm bold. And you have to remember, he's won everywhere he's been. He's been successful everywhere he's been. Just that the Premier League is a different kettle of fish. It's a much more challenging league. There's so many more competitors. So it's something different for him and new. He has a real kind of on the front foot way of playing football. And I think the Spurs fans and people watching them analysis-wise would look at them and go, sometimes there needs to be maybe a plan B, a different style of playing at times that gives them an opportunity in a different way. And you could say that, but at the same time, he's got his ways and he's setting his ways. And again, if he's been successful in his ways doing this over the years and playing that one way, who will be really to tell him that he needs to change if he's brought success? So we'll live and die by that decision. And I think he seems like a man who seems quite comfortable in that this is me, this is who I am. You employed me for a reason. Why am I going to change?
So we are going to listen to Ange Postecoglou shortly to add some balance to the show, and then we are going to look at the betting odds, and then we are going to land on a lock. We're going to give a lock out on this show to close out the Europa League preview, but I have to unpack what Rio Ferdinand said there. I have to go back to something specifically that he said. He said that that Ruben Amorim is taking a risk here by putting his eggs all in one basket and putting it all on the Europa League. He's saying that as if this was a conscious decision, as if Ruben Amorim has been rotating in the league, as if he's been experimenting with different formations, which he should have done. We weren't going to finish in the top four. We weren't even going to finish in the top half, which this season in the EPL probably gets you a European spot because things have got out of control. Although, with Crystal Palace winning the FA Cup and getting themselves a Europa League spot, things have changed somewhat. It looks a little bit more fair. The league positions that are going to qualify for Europe aren't going to be as low as they were before Palace won. But Palace are a bottom half team who are going to be in Europe, but they deserve it because they won the FA Cup. Just like Man United and Tottenham both deserve to be in the Champions League because they've won the Europa League. That was decided at the start of the season. And these people that are crying and hollering about it now are completely wrong and irrelevant, quite frankly, because it is a cup. It is a trophy. There's more justification for me being in the Champions League if you are the champions of something, if you won something, if you won the Europa League and you are the champions of the Europa League, you should play in a Champions League. I can even make a case that winning the FA Cup, to me, is more important than finishing fifth in the Premier League because you are the champions of something. Cup winners, for me, should go into the Champions League over teams finishing fourth or fifth. That's how I would do it, to give the title of Champions League more credence. The word champions is in there, so you should actually have to win something. This has been extended to top 2, to top 3, top 4, and now we're looking at top 5. It has got a little bit more ridiculous. Sometimes you have teams winning it and there's nothing champions about them. What's good about this current Champions League final, as much as I wanted it to be Barcelona versus PSG, is that we have two genuine champions from the previous season. Paris Saint-Germain, the champions of France, taking on the champions of Italy and Inter Milan, in complete contrast to what we have here in the Europa League, with two teams cemented into the bottom half of the EPL, which in fact makes this game even bigger and more important because you can't get into Europe at all if you don't win this game. But what I disagree with is the fact that Amorim was resting players and was looking ahead to this final. He did not have the look of a manager on the sidelines that was looking ahead to this final. His press conferences and comments, such as calling this the worst Manchester United team ever and being clearly frustrated that he hasn't been able to solve this puzzle in the Premier League, doesn't indicate to me that he was resting players and looking ahead to this final. His teams haven't been indicative of that. He hasn't been experimental. He should have been, but instead he's been stubborn and is stuck to this 3-4-3 system and has played it regardless, no matter whether it's worked, no matter whether we had the personnel to play it. He has stubbornly come in and said, this worked for me at Sporting Lisbon and I'm going to do it here. Well, that's the Portuguese league, and this is a massive step up. And you need to be able to roll with the punches. And this manager hasn't rolled with the punches at all. His tenure has been a massive failure. And that failure will be cemented if he is to lose this Europa League final. Obviously, if he wins, he's back in the Champions League. He has a big budget. Everything is well. The supporters are going to overreact to the win. And all will be well again at Manchester United. And Amorim is going to get time. But if he loses this final, does he deserve to get that time? Did he really put all his eggs in one basket? Or was he just completely incompetent in the Premier League and has given Manchester United their worst Premier League finish in history? I don't agree with what Rio Ferdinand said. The eggs in one basket is a nice excuse that you can make if you win it, and you can even make it now because you've got to the final. But the reality is I cover this team week by week. I watch them week by week, and he wasn't putting his eggs in any basket. Manchester United have just massively underperformed. Now, you can add to that, and you can put the asterisk there and say, were the players looking ahead? Did they underperform? Did they not run as hard as they could have run? Did they not try as hard as they could have tried? Were they mentally checked out of the Premier League? All of these questions I can't answer for you because I'm not a psychologist. I can't get into the players' brains. But the manager getting the excuse and saying that he put all his eggs in one basket, the lineups and the formations did not say that to me. There was no rotation. There was no formation experimenting. And for me, that's an excuse that Rio Ferdinand is giving this manager as an out for what has been an embarrassingly poor Premier League season from Manchester United. But as I said, all will be right in the world, according to most of these fickle supporters, if Manchester United do deliver a Europa League tomorrow. We are going to listen to Ange Postecoglou, as I said, to give this show some balance. We are then going to move on to actually breaking down the game and how it'll be won and lost before closing out with a lock. Before we do that, let me take this quick pause to tell you guys that Edge Boost is the first ever bank account built for bettors, ensuring all gambling transactions are approved. There's no usage fee, no minimums. You can earn cashback rewards and you get 100% approval for all betting deposits. So sign up at edgeboost.bet with the promo code SGPN, deposit $25, and Edge Boost will match that deposit. That's edgeboost.bet and the promo code SGPN. Let me also tell you guys here about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is going long for the NBA playoffs with their extender bonus. Hop in game one, and the longer the series goes, the bigger the bonus will get. So head over to Underdog Fantasy and sign up with the promo code SGPN, and you can claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. All you need to do, as always, to get involved is to head over to underdogfantasy.com and use our promo code SGPN. That's underdogfantasy.com and the promo code, as always, SGPN.
With just one game left, how would you describe your season in one word?
Oh, one word. Challenging, I guess. We've obviously had some issues, particularly in the Premier League, and but through the whole time, I guess there's always been the concurrent sort of runs we've had in the Carabao Cup and obviously in Europe. So it's been a challenging season, fair to say.
I said one word, but I'm glad you did elaborate there. This season obviously has, no doubt, been challenging. Where does it rank amongst the toughest in your career?
Look, it's it's been, I guess, tough in terms of, I've probably never had to deal with a kind of injury situation I have this year at Tottenham. I've kind of been in the game a long time, and there's always been disruptions here and there, but nothing like we've sort of experienced this year, and so that's made it tough. But like I said, at the same time, there's also been some incredible kind of resilience shown by the group to keep sort of our season one where we can still do something special. So it's it's been tough, but I guess every season's tough. This has just been tough for different reasons.
Yeah, and obviously there's context behind the Premier League results, like you said, and injuries playing a huge part in that. How do you feel about your position on the table being in 17th?
Yeah, look, I guess it's fair to say that, it's nowhere near the level we need to be at as a club. It's been disappointing. But it's not just the injuries. It's the fact that those injuries have coincided with us having good runs in cup competitions, particularly in Europe, which, if we weren't in Europe, fair to say that I think, since Christmas, when we got our players back, we would have been in a much stronger position in the league because we'd be playing one game a week and playing our strongest team. So, I think there's been a sort of cascading of effects of, our injuries, but also the runs we've had in cup competitions. So I think that's all contributed to it. notwithstanding that, as I said, it's not obviously in the position we want to be in as a football club. I think for any football club, you realise that it's not at the level you need to be. But as I said, I think the circumstance we've had to deal with this year, it's almost become the price we're paying for the success we're having in other areas.
How important is it to finish this season on a high?
Yeah, it's always important. It's important for the fans. Obviously, our last home game being at home was also important because it's the last time we sort of play in front of our supporters at our home ground. So you want to finish it off on a positive note. But a lot of that's still to come this week.
And the base of your defence, Vicario, Van der Ven and Romero, back from injury. How much of an influence do they have on how the team functions?
Yeah, look, a massive amount. You can add Pyro and Destiny or Doggy in that. When we have that back five, it's fair to say our chances of success improve dramatically because they're just... it's not just they're all very good players, excellent players, world-class players. They complement each other really well, Vicario's a fantastic goalkeeper for us, but when he's got that in front of him, you've got Romero's experience, the World Cup winner, Mickey's pace, you got Destiny's strength and ability to run, and Pedro's technically as good as any midfielder going around. So just as a unit, they're just a real effective unit for us, and really difficult to play against, but also a catalyst for the way we want to play our football. So unfortunately for us, we haven't had them together for many games, but when they have played together, like I said, it makes us a different team.
I'm not going to play this full interview, but I am going to play one more part because she did quiz him on his comment. You can find these interviews on YouTube, obviously, but she did question him on his comment about always winning something in his second season. This has been brought up over and over and over again. And she wondered if he actually regretted saying it because it's been brought up so much since the comment was made and probably has put extra pressure on him and his team.
You famously have said, earlier in the campaign, that you always win trophies in your second season. Does that speak to the confidence that you have in this team to deliver?
No, it just speaks to the facts and, I guess my mistake was answering a question accurately. I'll learn in the future to just lie and people will be much more comfortable with that, or me painting a different picture. But the fact is that wherever I've been, I've won things in my second year. We still have the possibility to do that here, and I'm certainly not going to let that slip because some people are a little bit afraid of me actually telling them what my history and my record's like.
Do you have any regrets in saying that, or...?
Why would I regret something that I'm proud of? Live your life as you should, Michelle. Don't worry about what other people think about you. Be proud of your achievements and stand up for them. That's what I do.
I found it funny how he made a point to use her name like he's her elder, like he's trying to teach her something, like he's trying to coach her, putting himself in this mentor role as such. It was amusing to me. I mean, Ange is always quite amusing. He always adds a little bit of humour, whilst the seriousness is also funny as well because he does get so angry. Clearly hates many members of the press in this kind of atmosphere when he's talking to this girl he obviously likes speaking with. It's a little bit more chilled out and you get more out of him, which is why I played a less contentious clip. It's always more fun to watch Ange go at it with the press, but for this particular episode I thought it'd be better to get some actual answers and more insight into Ange Postecoglou and how he's feeling going into this game. And I think the main problem for Spurs going into this game is going to be the injuries. It's a far more significant injury. It's not necessarily longer, but more significant than Manchester United's. And we're going to touch on that as we do break down the game, look at those betting odds and try and look at the tactics and land on a winner. Before we do that, let me quickly tell you guys that Rhythm is your home for AI-backed picks and props. You can dominate the NBA playoffs, PGA, MLB, and they've also just launched the WNBA as well. You don't need to watch it. You just need to make money on it. Rhythm knows you're going to love Rhythm. That's why they've given you a 7-day free trial. You can get it by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. They've also got some amazing deals going on right now with SGPN. With the promo code SGPN25, you can get 25% off a monthly subscription. With the promo code SGPN50, you can get 50% off an annual subscription. So head over to Rhythm and use one of the 2 promo codes, and that's Rhythm, spelled RITHMM. Let me also tell you guys here about the Circa Ultimate Fantasy Football giveaway. Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas are giving away the ultimate fantasy football experience, and it's for a 12-person league to draft in Vegas and be treated like VIPs for the stay. This is 2-night stay at Circa Resort and Casino, and it's for your entire 12-person league. So be sure to get involved. This is done on June the 30th, and you can enter at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/circa. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/CIRCA, Circa. And finally, we're also brought to you by mybookie.ag, and MyBookie is your place to bet on every sport, including the NBA playoffs, including the WWE. Obviously, I've done this to death in recent months, but it's just an answer to a question I've been asked for ages. Where'd you bet on the WWE? Where'd you bet on the WWE? It's mybookie.ag. So head over to mybookie.ag and use our promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply. That's mybookie.ag and the promo code SGPN. One more time, mybookie.ag and the promo code SGPN.
We've got this feeling that you have a philosophy, you stick to it, you stick to your idea. When I went to Spain as a manager, I didn't understand what it meant when they said to me, what's your idea? You know, mister, what's your idea? Because they call the coach mister in Spain. What's your idea? I've got no idea. But I was like, what do you mean, what's my idea? If we're playing away from home against Real Madrid, we'll probably counter-attack and play a bit deeper. If we're playing at home against one of the teams lower in the league, we'll be on the front foot and we'll be high-pressing, we'll try to dominate the game. And I couldn't work out what they meant. But it's a really clear principle in different parts of Europe that they have to have this idea. Ruben Amorim is driving it down our throat. Ange Postecoglou has sort of shoved it down our throat for the last... I'm not going to change, mate. And that's the worst Australian accent you'll ever hear on a podcast. However... But he's not,
I didn't even know that was you trying to do one.
Terrible Australian accent there from Gary Neville aside. That was an important clip to put in because this is where I want to start by breaking down this game between these two sides. Yes, Ange Postecoglou has a style and it has been successful in other places. And he's married to that. He's going to play it regardless. It's cost him games. Tottenham have been humiliated at times with the high line. When Van der Ven and Romero were out, common sense would have suggested you cannot continue to play this system or this style without having Van der Ven there because he is your cover man if the ball goes over the top while you're playing a high line, if the other team go through. If you're put in a foot race situation, Van der Ven is the man who's going to cover. That's what he was signed to do. He was a priority signing for Ange Postecoglou. I give him credit for knowing exactly how he wants to play and bringing in the signings that he needed and identifying them. And Van der Ven's a great player to have if you're going to play that system. But the system doesn't work without Van der Ven, and he continued to play it, and that made him look tactically inept. That exposed the frailties of being married to a system as opposed to playing week by week, looking at your team, looking at your situation, looking at who you're playing and looking at the situation that you're in as a squad and picking the right team to win that individual game. It hasn't been done by Ange Postecoglou this season. That's why his job's on the line. And it also hasn't been done by Ruben Amorim. I don't know what Amorim's identity is, and I've watched every single minute of every single game as a Manchester United fan. I don't know what his identity is, but what I do know is carrying over a formation blindly from the Portuguese league and saying that you will play it in the Premier League as if you've suddenly conquered football. He's like a kid who's completed a video game and he's telling everybody this is how you complete the video game. He's not completed football. By winning the league at Sporting Lisbon, you didn't complete football. This isn't a pre-programmed video game that you can complete by just doing the same things that you did somewhere else. This cannot be taught. This cannot be copied or replicated. This isn't a system that is the be-all and end-all conquering way to play and succeed in the world of football. You need to be adaptable. You need to be able to change. You need to be able to set out tactics that are applicable to succeed against the opponent that you are tasked against playing. Like, that is football. You look at your opponent, you look at what they have, you look at what you have, you match up, and you try and see how you win the game. Why is that out of football? Why is Ange Postecoglou stylistically approaching games one way and saying this is how you play football? And why is Ruben Amorim coming to the Premier League and saying, no, this is how you play football. This is the only way I want to play football. And Ange Postecoglou is saying this is the only way I want to play football. Well, you're two teams that are sitting above the relegation zone in the Premier League. It's 16th versus 17th for a prize in the Champions League. And I want to double down and reiterate, I have no issue with these two being in a position where they can qualify for the Champions League. Because if you win the Europa League, you'll go to the Champions League. We all knew that at the start of the season. There's no reason to change it, and there's no reason to cry about it now. These people that are doing that are just begging for clickbait content. They're trying to generate traffic by being controversial. And quite frankly, it's moron content. It's made by morons and consumed by morons. I will never do moron content. I could be a lot bigger, a lot more well-known. I could go out there and have stupid hot takes and bring more traffic to my service, to my podcast and whatnot. The problem with that is you become more known for the bad takes and you never escape from it. Even if after you've drawn that audience that came to listen to what a moron you are, hey, let's go listen to the fucking clown. You don't recover from that. Rory Jennings has gone on to say some very sensible things that I agree with, but he'll always be known for the guy that said Erling Haaland will be a failure in the Premier League and he would fail to score 15 goals and we were being disrespectful to the hierarchy, etc. It's an embarrassing point that will always be brought up when his name is mentioned, and that is more so his legacy than anything that he said that I agree with. And as I said, you'll always muddy the waters. You can double your viewership or your listenership or almost overnight by going viral with a stupid take. And trust me, a stupid take is going to go more viral than a good take, especially if you're proven to be wrong and it didn't age well. Maybe if you go on and you nail a scoreline and say exactly how a game's going to play out, which I've done many times on the EPL show, of course, then you can go viral for the right reasons. But it's rare. So you need to seemingly be a clickbait idiot in order to succeed and generate the bigger audience. And I'm just going to grow mine slowly by being sensible, by analysing things correctly, and by winning people money, which crazily, winning people money doesn't get you the massive audience that you get from being a moron. But these people who are saying that winning the Europa League should only get you back in the Europa League and they should change it at this point of the season, they are fucking morons. One thing that I would change looking at this game is that I would implement a rule that if two teams from the same country do get to a final, then that final should be moved to the country that the two teams play in. This final today, or tomorrow rather, should be taking place at Wembley Stadium. I 100% believe that would be better for the supporters. It would be better for the atmosphere. It would be better for football if we had a rule in place to say that if two teams from England get through to the final, they should play at Wembley Stadium. And the same goes for Spain, France, Italy, the most likely teams who are going to deliver two teams that get through to a European final. It should be moved. You're sending Tottenham fans all the way from London to Bilbao. You're sending Manchester fans all the way from Manchester to Bilbao. The travel has been difficult. These cities, they price up hotels to rip people off, trying to take advantage of people. The airlines do the same. And it's a shit show. And obviously that's something that you would have to deal with if you had two teams from two different countries, and that would make sense. It's just going to have to be something that those two teams deal with and their supporters deal with. But in this particular situation, you're dragging two sets of supporters away from England to go to Spain to go to a stadium that's significantly smaller than Wembley Stadium and significantly less equipped to deal with this game in Wembley Stadium. So just play at Wembley Stadium. I don't know how this makes any sense, or if you could argue that Wembley is somehow more favourable to Tottenham, then I would even probably prefer to play this at Villa Park or the Millennium Stadium in Wales, just somewhere else that doesn't involve these two teams, both these sets of supporters having to leave the country. So I'm not agreeing with the tactics of these two managers. They've both been very poor, equally poor, and therefore, due to how bad they've been, it makes this a very difficult game to handicap. And therefore, I am surprised that the books have managed to find a clear favourite for this game. It is Manchester United. They're the 6-4 favourites on the money line. It's 9-4 on the draw, and Tottenham are a 9-5 underdog. Man United are also the favourites to lift this trophy. The best price you'll find on United is 4-5 plus 4-5 minus 125. The best price you'll find on Tottenham is even money plus 100. So it's tight, but Manchester United are the favourites. And that could be down to the injuries. I do wonder if Tottenham didn't have so many significant injuries, if this would be much more of a 50-50. Don't forget, Tottenham were the clear tournament favourites when the semi-finals were set up, obviously because they were playing Bodo Glimt, and they took care of Bodo Glimt very, very convincingly. But Manchester United were even more convincing in taking care of Athletic Bilbao. That was a massive banana skin. For me, Bilbao were my pick to get to this final, which they would be hosting, and they failed to get there because Manchester United took them apart in that first leg and finished the job in that second leg. That was an incredible result from Man United. There were two really good performances as well. And it was shocking. That's the same team who play in the Premier League week after week and lay egg after egg. Yet they beat a team who'll be playing in the Champions League no matter what next season. Bilbao are in the Champions League via their league position because they've been incredibly consistent in La Liga, yet Manchester United took them apart. For that reason, I have to side with Manchester United. Tottenham have, as I said, significant injury issues. There are rumblings now that James Maddison's going to be in the squad. But James Maddison, for me, in the way that he is right now, this isn't Leicester. This is Tottenham, and he's never been a massive game changer for Tottenham. He's lost his England place, his space in the squad, whilst he's been at Tottenham. So for me, that's not concerning. Kulusevski not playing for Tottenham, that should be concerning for Spurs supporters because that is your creative heartbeat and he's missing from the team. Let's also look at the history as well. You're looking at a United team, whilst in one of their worst eras ever, they have the opportunity to win 3 trophies in 3 seasons. These players know how to get over the line in the cup final. They managed to do it against Man City last year. They managed to do it against Newcastle in the season before. So Man United, this group of players led by Bruno Fernandes know how to win a cup final. And for me, he is the most influential player on the pitch. He's the only world-class player on this pitch. I think Mickey van der Ven is close, but I'm not sure Mickey van der Ven is the same Mickey van der Ven that he was before his injury. I have to take United as they are unbeaten in Europa League this season. They've navigated a trickier route to the final than Spurs. They've got more experience at winning finals. Tottenham haven't won a final since 2008. Tottenham have more injuries. And this is a squad with players with major cup experience under their belts. Tottenham head to Bilbao having registered less than 1 expected goal in each of their last 3 games. Now, what I will say about that is Ange Postecoglou probably really was looking ahead to this final more than Amorim. Rio Ferdinand tried to offer Amorim that excuse up earlier on, and I wasn't having it. But for Ange Postecoglou, whilst that excuse isn't valid throughout the entire season, his team selections have reflected a team who are rotating a lot more, protecting certain players and looking ahead to this final. But with the injuries that they have, and with the inconsistency that they've shown coming in, and with Manchester United's pedigree when it comes to getting over the line versus a Tottenham team who don't get over the line. We all know about the term Spursy. the Spursy thing to do here would be to lay a massive egg and not only get beaten by Man United or to be beaten convincingly. Or you can go the other way where Tottenham have the final in their hands. They're looking like they're ahead and coasting, and Man United somehow find a way to come back into the game. There are lots of Spursy scenarios for Tottenham here where they could blow it. But ultimately, I do not want to be with a team who even coined the phrase Spursy. For those reasons, I cannot take Tottenham. I'm going to be with Manchester United. Manchester United themselves haven't been great, so I can't really back them to win this with them in any kind of convincing way. So I'm not going to be with them on the money line. But your lock here on this show is going to be on Manchester United to lift the trophy. Look around and try and find that best price. I'm going to quote the price here at 4-5, -125 for Ruben Amorim to get it done, for Manchester United to get it done, for Man United to win the Europa League, to be playing their Champions League next season. Will that paper over all of the cracks, or will this be a genuine catalyst for Manchester United to move on and to move in an upwards direction under this manager? Will this manager be the answer when he wins this, gets them into the Champions League and has the money available to buy his players for his formation, which I have heavily criticised on this show? I'm not a fan of the formation. I'm not a fan of styles of play. And I'm not a fan of buying players to play one specific way and playing that specific way no matter who your opponent is. Luckily, in this situation, we are playing against Tottenham, a team who do the same thing. This is a team who I'm not worried about playing against in a major final. These words may come back to bite me in the arse, but I'm happy to be on Manchester United to lift the trophy here at the price of 4-5, -125. And as I said, that is your lock here for this show. So that's it for this episode of Bet MUFC, episode 200. On the next episode, we will briefly look ahead to Man United's final game of the season as Manchester United look to break a horrible run of games without a win that we are on at the moment. But obviously, we will primarily be looking back at this Europa League final. And of course, while we do that, we'll also be overall looking back at this season. A season that started with Erik ten Hag, started with hope after winning the FA Cup. But he was very quickly let go despite being backed in the transfer market. We are finishing the season with Ruben Amorim. We are finishing the season with the Europa League Cup final, but we will be finishing it with a trophy. Good luck with all of your bets as always, guys, and thanks for listening.